Hey family, this is Balance. Grand Rising. Yes, Grand Rising actually means not just you rising, but all rise. The bees, the butterflies, the octopus, everything rise. So Grand Rising family. This is Balance. Tighten up. I'm here to share my experience, my strength, and my hope. Okay? But first and foremost, I'm going to give thanks to the ancestors, my ancestors. Yes, Ashe. So the topic is below. Okay, so first and foremost, I want to go into the universe. Ma, womb, man, fee, male. Fee as in ein, male, as in the periodic table. Look on the periodic table and it tells you what fee means, which is ein, male, womb, man, X before the Y, right? Okay, so as I mentioned, womb, woman, the mind, womb, X, Y, chromosomes, dimensions, parallel dimensions, the Milky Way, the galaxy, the different dimensions. Okay, so sun, moon, and star, of course. The sun, right? The light actually goes through the sun. The sun is 108 times larger than Earth. The sun, male and female. Okay, you got the poles, all right? Male and female. And so the light comes through, okay, two spheres, which is actually Mercury and Venus, okay? But the light is actually the spirit actually attracts to the light. So once the light comes through, which travels at the rate of 186,000 miles per second, sound travels at the rate of 1,120 feet per second. So that's the Nation of Islam. That's the actual facts. So light travels through the sun, right? The sun is here and now is what they like to call, this is why they call it mourning, because they mourning the dead, because the light attracts the spirit. So the two spheres that the light travels through, which is through Mercury and Venus, the dead travels through, as well as, well, I don't really like to say the dead, the ancestors within that past in our reality is still present as well. So the light travels at, as I mentioned, 186,000 miles per second. Sound travels at the rate of 1,120 feet per second. So once the light travels through, it creates these lights, okay? Once the light travels through the sun, it creates the lights, and you see different colors. Those are light codes that you should be downloading. But those lights, which is the 7 chakras, what it creates is a pure, this is why they call it a prison. It creates like a pyramid, a 3-degree. And if you look up Google and you see, they show you different shapes of what 3-degree is. That's Earth. But the light travels through, it creates these these codes, these colors, okay? And the colors becomes the chakras, so the prisons, okay? And so once they cover the prisons, you know, the light attracts the dead. And so the dead, this is why in the morning you hear voices and you being influenced by the dead, because the dead is attracted through the light. It comes in through that reality of that prison, that reality. And so as soon as we get here, then we face with what? This hologram, this emptiness, this hologram. And the hologram is actually, is this reality. I was told that our ancestors, because remember I mentioned in my other downloads of YouTube, is that we have 3 stars, So Orion, Sirius, and Palladians. Okay, so they said the Anunnaki and the gods created this hologram, and it was for us to enjoy and live life. But it was hijacked. How you know it was hijacked and a hex was put on it? Because check this out. We come as the colors, right? And so that's God, right? Come the colors and to come through that reality universe, which is spiral, which is circle, which is the whole oneness, all in all, right? So now then this reality, we face the lights come through as a pyramid, and then we're faced with this hologram, this game. Now, any game, you should be given rules, right? But we wasn't orientated what this rule was, because this life was, because they didn't give us the rule. So in order for us to be getting this physical flesh, our mother and father, so once we came here through a light and spirit, right, we kind of pointed out our parents, which, our parents, and why from the past life, when we close our eyes somewhere else, we opened it here. Okay, so now mom and dad is making love. So making love is how you get through here on the physical flesh from up top. You make mom and dad made love and create, that sperm, which is the dead, right? Because remember I told you the light and the dead came through the sperm. So once mom and dad making love, and that sound, once that sound hits that egg, boop, it makes a sound, right? And that sound is actually connected to your name. That's why your name is so important, all right? That's why people always want, as far as you to write your signature on their documents. That's another story, is because your signature connects to that sound to let the universe and the ancestors know you arrive. I'm here, right? So now mom, dad make noise, you go through the 9 months, which should be 12, because it's 12 planets, right? This is what the manipulation was. It was to shorten our life, so we live 9, be shorten up the minerals and the connections and all that I'm talking about. But in Africa, they go 12 months. So that is actually the calendar that I actually believe and go by, is the Ethiopic calendar. So it's 12 months. So there's 12 solar systems, right? So it's 12 celestial bodies, right? So now here you are, physical, 12, then you got 12 organs. And the 12 organs is actually those colors. Those colors that I told you that come through the sun, because some people can see when the sun shines, they can see these colors. Not all people could. I could see all different colors. Those is life codes, right? And they're parallel realities. Those colors, when it comes out, shoot out as a pyramid, they are parallel realities. Those are your chakras. And over all that is this hologram, right? Now you got the physical flesh. Now you're given a name, which is the ego, which is edging who out? God. Because remember I said God and this reality is all here. You don't even have the instructions here, right? So now you took on that flesh and you here, and you don't know what this reality is, because you wasn't given the orientation of what this reality is and why we took on physical flesh. Because everybody came here to, as I mentioned, was driven here for a purpose. So now here we are, the dead, and the dead manifests itself to us every morning. It comes and it does what? It speaks and influence. Like right now, I'm encouraged, influenced by the dead, right? Because the dead want us to know between now and November, which is the celestial winter solstice, summer solstice is right now. This is when the light codes is being pushed out, especially before 2020, right? But here's the reality as well, is that the life codes is pushed out, and so you're building on that life codes, right? And your ancestors is giving you that information, so the life code come out, and here you are doing your, living your life without the powers, because you're not aware of the powers, okay? But the reality is the ancestors came, and they want us to know that between now and November, which is Pluto, this is when the weather goes up and it comes down under Pluto, right? Which is Pluto is the Lord of the underground. This is when you get to hell and all that. See, that's a reality too, right? You got 7 heavens, 7 hells, right? But Pluto, okay, so the winter comes around. So right now, in between now and November 1st, our ancestors, which is in the future, you understand what I'm saying? Because they're the future, we're in the presence, and the young is in past. Our ancestors is in the past. We're right now in the present, and our children is in the future. So what they want us to recognize right now is that between now and November the 1st, that they are here. They wants to be used and be acknowledged and recognized. So between now and then, you can talk to your, I don't like to use the term dead, because like they say, let the dead bury the dead, and the ancestors is not dead. They're being prepared to be reborn again. We're dying. We're the one dying. But back to the ancestors, the spirits who comes in every morning and who's attracted by the light, and are our ancestors who's here, but those who's coming from Mercury and Venus is coming through here. Mercury and Venus, which is, Venus is connected to Saturn, and I mentioned in my other downloads how Saturn is manipulating the moon. The moon has been hijacked. It has a conscious, and the back of it is subconscious, right? And that subconscious and conscious is the moon is manipulating what? The electromagnetic field over us, the aura. It has the feet and the male. Okay, so it has an aura. It comes around us. Once you get familiar and love yourself, you start eating right, do it right, you could be able to read people's aura, right? So that's what the moon manipulates, the aura, the money, Lucifer, Lilith, those is gods, but those gods and these planets that I mentioned is connected to the chakras. That's why you got to start eliminating and stop inviting them into your reality, and use that energy like our ancestors gave us that reality and that they use, which is astronomy, right? Astronomy, which is biology and epigenetics, rituals, right? And meditation, rituals, astrology, rituals. What's the other one? Well, let me keep going. So, okay, so our ancestors gave us that as a tool to use, right? So in that reality of using it, once you got on that physical flesh, you came here, then you took on the alter ego, and you edge out God out, right? But the ancestors want us to know right now that they have given us a gift, okay? And they want us to remember them. That's the gift, to remember. When you remember, that is Mercury. Remember I said Mercury and Venus came through, and Saturn hijacked Venus, the sun, and create this illusion, right? But also because it's dominating the earth, which is 3 dimension, Earth and Venus are sisters, right? And so Venus, as I mentioned, is connected also to your insight, your third eye, right? And so it's also connected to your creativity, to create, to produce, to procreate, to feel intimacy. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of time it's actually blocked because of grief, right? Grief. So, that's your passion. You got to learn to get more passion. And so that's connected. Saturn is connected to Venus, which is your insight, your vision, which is overall, right? But our ancestors want us to know that this is the time so that we can, between November the 1st, recognize the spirits and get the gifts. See, this is why they tell you the Amazon the forest is being eliminate it because they don't want you to know that when the spirits come through, what it does before it leaves, it gets in your hair, the kinkiness. This is why melanated people has what they call non-ether. It gets in the dreads. That's why I do dreads. It gets in it, speaks to you, right? But it also connects to the trees. So our ancestors, when I say that, it's the information, the trees. Then you have water. Water is the memory. That's Mercury, remember? So if they are cutting down, this is why. Because they talk about to feed live cattle, which is animals, so that those who still eat meat and all that, this is why they're cutting it down. But they eliminate the oxygen. 20% of our oxygen come from there. 50% of our food come there. And there's like millions of tribes that lives in the Amazon, right? So what they trying to do is eliminate, and then it could be all fake news. You know what I'm saying? You just do you. You mean your universe, but also know that your ancestors is here for you before November the 1st, so you can access and use and get your gift that they have for us. So this is why I'm led for this YouTube is my ancestors. They're telling me the spirits is, I'm led by the spirits. All right, so balance. No one told you that they love you. I love you. Ashe.